So you want to start playing League of Legends. First of all, welcome to the dark side. Second of all, say goodbye to the next 1,000 hours of your life and your last full functioning brain cell. Third of all, welcome to League of Legends. We're happy to have you here. Now you might be wondering, what is League of Legends? Simply put, League of Legends is a 5-player team-based MOBA made by Riot Games over 15 years ago. There are currently over 140 champions and 7 different champion classes to choose from. Simply put, the world is your oyster when it comes to League, and it is perfect for everyone and anyone, regardless of their preferred playstyle. The main objective of League of Legends is to destroy the enemy team's nexus by any means necessary. However, this is not a simple task, as there are a lot of objectives to secure and destroy before you can reach the enemy's nexus. The main map, Summoner's Rift, is split up into 2 main sides, red and blue side, and consists of the following: 3 lanes, which consist of top, bottom, and mid lane; the jungle, which consists of the river and neutral objectives, including powerful monsters such as elemental dragons and Baron Nashor, which provide helpful buffs to your team; Scuttle Crab, which provides temporary vision in the jungle; red buff, which applies burn to enemies and provides healing to the holder; blue buff, which increases mana regen and decreases ability cooldowns; wolves, raptors, krugs, and gromp. The jungle is also surrounded by bushes that limit enemy vision unless warded by the allied team; turrets, which protect the base and must be destroyed before reaching the nexus. There are 2 turrets in every lane and 5 turrets in the base, 2 of which surround and protect the nexus; inhibitors, which appear after every 3rd enemy turret and spawn super minions when destroyed; the fountain, which is where you spawn from when the game starts, when you recall, and when you die; and finally, the nexus, which is the heart of the base. Destroying the nexus is the main objective, and destroying it results in a victory. Now before we hop into a game, let's go over the first step to playing League, which is choosing your preferred position and champion. There are 5 main positions: bottom, top, mid, support, and jungle. Bottom laners mainly focus on farming and being the main damage carry for their team in teamfights. This role is perfect for players who like to do damage from a distance and get stronger as the game progresses. They are long-range champions but tend to be squishy and have low mobility. Common classes in this role are marksmen and mages. Common champions for this role are Ashe, Misfortune, and Ziggs. Top laners mainly focus on farming, sustaining damage, engaging teamfights, and split pushing their lane. This role is perfect for people who like engaging in 1v1s with their lane opponents. They are typically melee ranged but tend to be tanky and have medium mobility. Some common classes in this role are tanks, fighters, and mages. Some common champions for this role are Garen, Tryndamere, and Teemo. Supports focus on empowering and protecting their allies, initiating teamfights, as well as roaming for picks and warding the map for vision. This role is perfect for players who like to heal and shield allies and make plays for their team. They are typically melee to long-ranged, can be tanky or squishy, and have medium mobility. Some common classes in this role are enchanters, tanks, engagers, and mages. Some common champions for this role are Sona, Nautilus, and Lux. Junglers focus on farming monsters, securing neutral objectives, and ganking lanes for picks. This role is perfect for players who like to take control of the map and get their team an early advantage. They are typically melee to long-ranged, tanky, and have medium mobility. Some common classes in this role are tanks, fighters, and assassins. Some common champions for this role are Amumu, Master Yi, and Nunu and Willem. Mid laners focus on farming, bursting enemies, roaming for picks, and protecting their tower. This role is perfect for players who enjoy one-shotting their enemies and a more aggressive playstyle. They are typically long-ranged and ability-focused, and have low to high mobility. They are typically squishy and vulnerable to roams and ganks. Some common classes in this role are mages and assassins. Some common champions for this role are Zed, Annie, and Veigar. Depending on the position you choose, that will typically correspond with your default start position on the map during the laning phase. Before you enter the queue, you must choose the primary position you want to play and the secondary position in case you don't get your first choice. When a match is found, you then enter Champ Select, which is where you are given a set amount of time to pick your champion. There are more than 140 champions to choose from, all with their own unique abilities and playstyles. The first step is to declare the champion you intend to play. Soon after, you will get the chance to ban any champions you do not want to play against. Then, after the banning phase, you will have to wait until it is your turn to lock in your champion. When it's your turn, select the champion you wish to play and lock them in. While you're waiting for the game to start, take the time to choose the appropriate runes and summoner spells for your champion. Runes are a set of unique enhancements to champions that apply buffs and new abilities. There are currently 5 different rune paths available, including Precision, which helps improve attacks and sustain damage, Domination, which helps with burst damage and target access, Resolve, which helps with survivability, durability, and crowd control, Inspiration, which allows players to cultivate their own playstyle and bend the rules, and finally Sorcery, which helps empower abilities and improve resource management. Because we're noobs, this will take a while to understand and get a hang of. For now, you can look up a rune guide online and/or use the built-in rune recommender. Once you have your desired runes, you can then choose your desired summoner spells. Summoner spells are very powerful spells that can be used once every couple of minutes. These spells should only be used when trying to escape, make a play, or secure a kill. The most common summoner spell is Flash, and depending on your role, could be Heal for bottom laners, Ignite for supports, mid laners and top laners, Smite for junglers, and Exhaust for supports. Once everything looks good, prepare for battle. Now that we're finally in-game, let's go into some important elements of the UI and some helpful setting adjustments to make our lives easier. The main UI elements you should be aware of are the minimap at the bottom right corner of your screen, the mana/energy and health bar at the bottom of the screen and below your summoner name, your current gold currency and shop button, the chat bar and box, the game leaderboard with helpful information on monster spawns, champion bounties, and controlling player communications. Some helpful setting changes include enabling quick cast instead of normal cast to immediately cast your abilities when you activate them, enabling show mana cost to learn more about how much mana or energy your abilities cost and how much mana is required to make a full combo, enabling color blindness to better differentiate your health bar from your allies and your enemies. When you get into the game, you must buy a starting item from the shop before you go to your assigned lane. The shop will recommend a few options that are ideal for your champion and position. Since we're going mid lane, we will choose Doran's Ring and 2 health potions as our starting items. Before we head to lane, let's go over some basic controls. For camera control, you can either manually control your camera with your mouse, or lock the camera to your champion as you move by pressing Y. Lock screen is typically what I recommend for beginners. To move your champion, you simply right-click your mouse to your desired position on the map. Right-clicking is also used for auto-attacking minions and enemies. Simply press A to see your attack range. For your basic abilities, use the Q, W, and E keys. For your ultimate ability, use the R key. To level up your abilities, use Shift plus the corresponding ability key, or you can simply left-click the arrow on your screen. To access your active items, wards, or potions in your inventory, use the corresponding number keys, or simply left-click on them to consume/use them. Most champions will have a crowd control ability, an offensive ability, a defensive ability, and their ultimate ability, which is the strongest ability in their kit. Since we are playing Lux, our main abilities are Q, a crowd control ability that roots and damages enemies, W, a defensive ability that shields yourself and allies, E, which slows and damages enemies within the area of effect when the ability is recast, and her ultimate ability, which fires a damaging beam in a straight line globally on the map, damaging all enemies within the beam's area of effect. Her passive, which provides additional bonuses to her ability kit, is Illumination. Lux's damaging abilities charge her enemies with energy. This effect is activated when Lux next attacks the enemy, dealing additional damage to the target. Communication can be done through typing in the chat, or more commonly and efficiently done through pings. Pings can be activated by holding down the Control or Alt key, left-clicking, and dragging your cursor towards your desired ping. This is the most important communication tool in the game, and can be used to alert your team about surprise ganks or missing enemies. Now that we've gone over some important controls, let's go over the different phases of the game. Early game consists of the laning phase. This is the phase of the game where typically your main objective is to farm minions to earn gold and experience. The experience will be used towards leveling up your abilities and making them stronger, and your gold will be used to buy items and potions to make your champion as strong as possible. If you are jungling, you will be farming jungle camps instead, and if you are playing support, you will not be farming at all, but will still be earning gold passively with your support item. The support's main job is to ward and clear enemy vision for their team, as well as protect and support their bottom laner. For a mid, top, and bottom laner, the laning phase is the most important part to getting stronger. This is also the time for trading damage with your enemy to push them out of lane, or secure a kill and gain an early game advantage against your opponent. However, it should not be your top priority. Losing minions or dying in lane can cost you a lot of experience and gold, which can put you at a disadvantage in the long run. Mid-game usually begins around the 15 to 20 minute mark. This is when the laning phase begins transitioning into the team fighting phase. By this point, players should already have 2 to 3 items plus full boots. Laning phase typically ends when the first turret is destroyed and laners begin to rotate to other areas around the map. However, this is the phase when building the right items at the right time can determine whether you win or lose a fight. For itemization strategies, keep in mind that champions typically scale off of 2 main damage stats: physical or attack damage, and magic damage or ability power. Occasionally, champions can scale based on health, armor, and magic resist. To determine which items you should prioritize, it's a good idea to look at your champion's abilities and passive. This will typically have many icons that indicate the kind of damage or stat champions scale from. In our case, we are playing Lux, so our champion scales solely off of ability power, frequently referred to as AP. Some core items I would typically build on Lux are Storm Surge and Shadow Flame for burst damage, Horizon Focus for ability haste and vision, or Luden's Companion for ability haste and mana, Rabadon's Death Cap for even more AP, and finally Void Staff and Sorcerer Boots for magic penetration. If you require more help with itemization, the shop will suggest commonly used items on your champion and is typically very reliable. However, as you get better and face harder opponents and team compositions, your item choices will matter much more and can greatly affect your damage potential. You can also look up guides made by professional players to help. During teamfights, it's important to make sure you're positioned correctly and targeting the right enemies to win the teamfight. For Lux, she will most likely be in the backline and will help initiate fights with her Q, follow up with her E and R to secure the kill. Although teamwork is very important in League, knowing how to synergize your abilities with other champions and position correctly in teamfights will come with time as your game knowledge and mechanics improve. Securing as many drakes as possible during the mid-game can give you the edge against your opponent and help you win the game. The drakes that spawn in the mid-game include Infernal Drake, Ocean Drake, Wind Drake, and Mountain Drake. Once 4 drakes are secured by a single team, the drakes no longer spawn and that team is rewarded with the Dragon Soul, the type of soul corresponding to the last drake acquired. Depending on the type of soul, this provides a unique buff to the entire team to help them push their way to victory. At the 20-minute mark is when the first Baron spawns. Baron is a really strong neutral objective that empowers ally minion waves and allows teams to push further and take enemy objectives. Securing Baron typically results in a power spike that should be used to push lanes and take control of the enemy's base. The mid-game is also an important time for warding neutral objectives in dangerous areas such as brushes and Baron pits. Be sure to buy control wards regularly to help control heavily contested objectives such as Drakes and Barons as frequently as possible. The mid-game is also a time to swap out your default stealth ward with either a Farsight ward or a sweeping lens to reveal and eliminate enemy vision. This in combination with pings will help your team navigate the map unharmed and plan strategic attacks against the enemy team. The late game begins around the 35-minute mark when the Dragon Soul is taken and most players have 4 to 5 items plus boots. This is when Elder Drake, the last drake of the game, spawns. Securing it can drastically change the trajectory of the game. Games get to this point when both teams are even and can't successfully push their way to the enemy's nexus. Elder Drake is very important because it allows the ally team to execute enemies when they are below 20% health. This buff alone is usually the win condition in games longer than 45 minutes. By this time, death timers can be upwards of 1 minute, which in most cases is enough time to completely invade the enemy base. In our case, we managed to open up the enemy base completely and destroy the enemy nexus, claiming the victory. When the game is over, it's good practice to type GG or GG well played in the chat as common courtesy amongst the League community. Congratulations, you now know what it takes to win a game of League of Legends. This video is simply a summary of all the intricacies that make up League of Legends as a whole. Although we went over all the basic aspects of how to play, the sky is truly the limit. League is a rewarding but challenging game that requires a lot of game knowledge and mechanics to succeed. Above all, the most important requirement for getting better at League is practice, 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 and having fun with your own unique journey. Thank you for watching this beginner's guide on how to play League of Legends. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below for any video ideas you would like to see in the future. Bye for now, and see you on the Rift.